Hey, out there in YouTube land, Ed again, and finally getting around to doing part 2 of the dually. I finally have my chassis rails nice and secure and strong. I'm happy with where they're at the moment, and I figured I'd go ahead and continue on in the process of this and get the front part of the chassis rails put in and ready to go so I can get the suspension together, get the wheels on it, and start getting everything ready to go, get this truck put together. And in the process of doing all this, I've been thinking about it and trying to decide if I wanted to just completely scratch build even the front of the chassis rails like I've got this part right here, or if I wanted to maybe take the that part of this, take out the front suspension portion of the kit chassis, graft in the actual suspension components that I'm going to be using, and then just graft that part of the chassis into the chassis rails that I've made so far, and then of course do all the cross braces and whatnot in between the rails from there. I'm thinking that's the route I'm going to go. I'm thinking that's going to be probably the easiest, because trying to build up the thickness. Get it over here where y'all can see it. Trying to build up this thickness right here where it kind of comes in and then goes over and up under the cross brace here, the cross member. I'm not 100% confident in my own abilities to be able to do that, so what I'm thinking I'm going to do is just take this part of the chassis off, cut that off of the chassis, get it nice and clean, and then graft in the front cross member and suspension components that I'm wanting to use, and then cut that bit of the chassis out, attach it to the front end of these rails, and then put cross members in at the various locations where they go along the back of the chassis. That way I can start getting it painted, get the rear suspension built, get it put on, get the wheels that I'm going to use painted, because for mock-up purposes I'm just using the chrome wheels that come with the kit. Well, the kit also comes with a set of wheels that are just plain white plastic, and those are the wheels, the plain white plastic wheels are the ones that I'm going to use with the dually, and I'm going to paint them up. And I don't think I'm going to paint them body color, but instead of bothering trying to stick those wheels in the bleach and strip the chrome off of them, since I've already got a set that's not chromed, I'm just going to use those. That way all I have to do is just prime them and paint them. And I'm probably going to paint those an aluminum color or maybe steel, I don't know yet. I mean, like I say, that this is basically just a work truck. This truck is going to be basically just a workhorse of a truck. One of the things that I'm going to do with it as I get this suspension together, or get this chassis together, is I'm going to build a chassis mount gooseneck hitch to go on it, and I'm going to cut the hole in the bed material for the gooseneck ball to stick up through, so that I can scratch build a gooseneck trailer to go with this particular truck. And I'm also going to put a headache rack on it, and I might even scratch up a bed mount toolbox for behind the cab. So I've also been considering scratching up a brush guard, or maybe even a full bumper replacement for it, for the front end of it. Another thing that I'm going to be doing, since I just placed an order on Amazon for a 50 pack of LEDs, super little small LEDs, so that I can light up the AMT Pete. I'm not going to need all 50 of the LEDs for that. So I figure I could probably use some of those to maybe put some lights on this guy. And what I'll do is, where the spare tire goes on the back side of the chassis here, I'll probably build like a spare tire cover type deal to go over where the spare tire would be, and I'll just put the battery cell, the button cell battery in there, and then maybe hide the switch like with the fuel tank or something like that. I haven't 100% decided on that, but I'd like to light up the headlights and the tail lights and stuff like that. So, and I'm going to have plenty of LEDs to do that with, so you know, I think it'll be fun. So in the meantime, let's get this camera going. Just so we can have better footage of what's going on, because my webcam just doesn't do very well. Alright, so in the meantime, I need to figure out how I'm going to close this up and make this right here solid chassis, and then remove this so that I can graft in the cross member that I'm wanting to use. So let's get to it. Let's build this guy up. Let's get this guy ready. So let's see. Let's see. Okay. Looks like I'll be able to cut a piece of this the same evergreen styrene stock that I've been using for the frame rails to begin with. Looks like I'll be able to cut a piece that'll fit in that little space right there, and then maybe use some sheet styrene to go over the sides of it, and yeah, I think that'll work. Okay, so let's see. Alright, let me get my other pair of eyeballs on real quick. Yes, I'm old, I'm blind, and I can't see. Alright, here we go. Okay, let's see. Get it nice and lined up. Do it over here where y'all can see what I'm doing. Alright, let's there we go. Okay. Keep my less than nimble fingers out of the way for y'all. Try to anyways. I've got a little mark right here that I made with the edge of my blade that I'm lining up on my cutting mat here. If this piece of styrene would stay still. Okay. Alrighty. Nice little snap. And let's see how well it fits. Alright. I think I may need to... Yeah, I'm going to need to notch it a little bit. Because there's a bit of a ledge right here that it's up against. Okay, so get that marked where it needs to be. Mark that a little stronger. Okay. My nippers over here. That looked like that was fitting pretty good. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Alright, maybe give it a little bit of a notch on the back side of it back here, not quite as deep. Okay. See if that'll set in there a little more. Okay. Flat file. The notch I'd cut with the nippers for the back side wasn't quite deep enough, so hit it with the file just a bit. One, clean it up a little, give it a more solid area for the glue to grab once I put the glue on it. And two, just deepen it up just a touch, where I think the nippers would just take it too far too quick. And it needs to go just a touch deeper. So get the file back out. Edges up just a touch. this over here on in frame for y'all so y'all see what I'm doing. Alright. Okay. I think that's just about perfect, or at least as close to perfect as it's gonna get. Okay. Time for some Tamiya extra thin. Yeah, as y'all can tell, I really like to glue my pieces together. I like good, strong, secure. That way, I box it up to take it to like a model show contest or something. I'm not going to have to worry about it falling apart on me or something breaking during transit. Some people would say that I overglue it. Well, personally, I'd rather overglue a part than underglue a part. Alright, go ahead and get my sprue glue. And put a little bit of sprue glue down in here. Got a little sloppy with it there. Just help bond it into the back side of that chassis rail. Alright. Wipe the glue from my mat. Okay. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and get this piece ready to go. Do the same thing. Okay. I love how easy styrene is to work with. I truly do. Okay. A little bit of a mark there where that front edge nip needs to be. Just a touch with the file. Oh, sorry y'all. Didn't mean to get it out of frame. I apologize. Okay. All right. Yeah, sometimes I'd lose my head if it weren't screwed on. I'll set something down, forget exactly where I'd set it, and then spend 3/4 of a day looking for it just to realize when I do find it that it was right there in front of my face the entire time. Alright. Get this guy cleaned up. Okay. Give it a quick test fit. And, oh, that is beautiful. Love the way that fits. Alrighty. Get some extra thin on it. Make sure it gets good and glued in. Like I say, when I go to put this guy in a box after I get him finished up to take him to a car show or a contest or something like that where it's going to be put on display, I don't want it to break while it's being transported. Alrighty, and my sprue glue, and for those of you wondering, my sprue glue, it's just, get this aimed right, just Tamiya cement, just the regular Tamiya, that I opened it up, took the lid and the brush out, and just took some chunks of polystyrene, just stuff that I'd cut off of other kits and bits and pieces of sprue and whatnot, and I just dumped the styrene into the glue and let it dissolve, and yeah, and I gave it several days to get good and dissolved and all that, so and it's come in incredibly handy. Okay. Alright. So now while that's at least setting up well enough to start cutting all this, while all the glue is setting up well enough to I can start cutting all this out and then cover over those edges there with some sheet styrene. Start maybe looking over this guy. Yeah, see this mold line right here along the back side of the roof? Well, that line does not exist on the one-to-one, on the real thing. So going to let's see, where's my sandpaper stock at? Let's see. Alright, what did I do with my sandpaper, y'all? I know, y'all don't know. It's up here somewhere, I'm sure of it. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's back. Is it back here, maybe? Yeah, there it is. Alright, here we go. I don't want to use 400. I want to use 600. Alright. Go ahead ahead and set this guy over here out of the way. I'm just gonna, with my knife, cut me out a piece of 600 grit sandpaper. Put that guy over there. And because there's nothing on the back denoting what grit that is, I'm just gonna take my little Sharpie over here and I'm just gonna write a 600 on it. That way, next time I go to pick up this particular piece of sandpaper, I can just look at the back and know that it's 600 grit. Alrighty. Like I say, got this seam line right here, right along the back side of the roof of the cab, that on the 1-to-1, that just don't exist. And if you don't believe me, say so in the comments, and I'll go out to my 94 extended cab that's sitting just right outside at the curb, and I'll take a picture of the roof line and show you that this particular line right here does not exist on the real thing. So we're going to get that sanded out. And cleaned up. Alright, you know what? I'm just going to take my little, I have no idea what number blade this is, but it's great for making quick work of stuff like this. And I'm just going to lightly scrape along that line. Get the majority of it off with this blade. This particular blade is also great for removing ejector pin marks, especially from more hard to reach areas where it might be a little difficult to try and sand it off. It's also great for removing molded in trademark marks from chassis, and just a very, very versatile tool. We're going to just lightly drag the edge of the blade over that line. Get the worst of it off with the blade. Now we're going to go over it a little bit with the sandpaper. Definitely not the worst parting line, mold parting line that I've ever seen. Not the best. I've been lucky enough to work with a few kits that were really super clean, just straight out of the box. Didn't really require any kind of body prep at all. Just basically just wash it, prime it, paint it. I may even try lighting up the high mount brake and all that on it. Maybe put a dome light in it. I can still see where that line was a little bit. Oh, no. I was going to say I couldn't really feel it, but my fingernail caught it just there, so maybe give it a little more sanding. Definitely catching it with my thumbnail here. So we're going to take this blade, we're going to do a little bit more scraping. And if I need to rescribe this body line right here, when I'm done, then that's definitely a doable thing. And one of the things that I'd really like to do with all three of these trucks is open and hinge these doors, but problem for me with that is on the kit, just like on the one-to-one, the exterior of the A-pillar, the exterior skin of the A-pillar is part of the door. So if I were to cut this door out, there wouldn't be anything connecting the front edge of the roof line with the wiper cap. And I would then worry about this part collapsing in and getting crushed down before I'm ready to get everything built up. So that's a little conundrum I'm just going to have to think about and ponder for a little bit. And I will definitely keep y'all apprised of what I decide to do with that, what route I decide to go. Alright. Go over it some more with the sandpaper here. Alright. Alright. Not catching with my thumbnail. Okay. Alright. Now I'm going to take the back edge of this guy. Just kind of go through and deepen these lines back up, kind of rescribe them a little bit. Because that did get just a little thin there. Okay. Alright, I think that's good. Yeah. Oh, nope. Still catching a little on my thumbnail over here on this side of the mold seam line. So get just a little more aggressive with this sandpaper here. Alright, much better. Much better. Okay. Let's see. Anything else that needs to be addressed on the cab? To be honest with you folks, I'm not seeing anything. Not worried about seam lines right here because that's going to get covered up by the grill. Yeah. And this stuff's going to get covered by the bumper, so I ain't worried about that. I will need to take these pieces off eventually, but I'll get to that when I'm ready for it. Alright. Looks like we got some ejector pin marks here inside the cab. So I'm going to just scrape those out real quick. Also in my Amazon order that I just placed earlier today for the LEDs, I also placed an order for a, I think it was a 100 count pack of 3 mil by 1 mil disc magnets. It was either a 100 count or a 300 count. I don't remember which right now. Yeah, I know. I'm old. They say 3 things start to fail and fade when you start getting old. First is your eyesight. Second's your memory. And I'll be darned if I remember what the third is. And well, as y'all see with the double glass, as y'all can see with the double glasses, I'm definitely afflicted by failing vision. Can't hardly see nothing. Alright, y'all, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and pause the cameras for a moment, take a quick little break, and finish working on getting these ejector pin marks off of the roof of this pickup, and then I'll be back and we'll do some more work on the chassis. Hopefully the glue on the chassis will be set at least enough to be able to work with it. Alright, be back in just a sec, y'all. At least to y'all I will be. Okay, y'all, I'm back. Let me grab a quick drink. And before anybody asks in the comments, no, it ain't big enough. I fill it up 3-4 times a day. So, yeah, I mean, it's big, but it ain't big enough. Alright. While the cameras were paused, I went through. Oh, come on, phone. Focus. Went through and got rid of the ejector pin marks on the inside of the cab roof, and double checked it because I had my light behind me here turned up a little brighter. It's too bright for while I'm trying to film, so I turned it down, but turned it up a little brighter and looked over the rest of the cab under that extra bright light to make sure that I didn't have any mold line, seam lines or anything like that I wanted to get rid of, and it was good. I did, however, notice here on the bed right along here, and especially in this corner right here, not too worried about this, but right up here in this corner, and it's on both sides, there's a bit of a seam line there that doesn't exist on the one-to-one, so I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that, even though it's not gonna be seen. I know I'm just being nitpicky at this point, but well, you know what, it's my truck. If I want to be nitpicky about it, I can be nitpicky about it. When you go to build yours or whatever kit it is you're building, you want to be nitpicky about your kit? Well, guess what? It's your kit. Be nitpicky about it. That's one of the joys of this hobby. You want to be nitpicky about the way you do your stuff? Go for it. Okay. It's kind of hard to see in this lower light. Give that a good scrape. Yeah, and obviously this is gonna have to get washed before I go to paint it, because it's got all sorts of gunk on it, partly from being handled so much, partly from mold release agent. But as anybody that's done any kind of painting on model bodies will already know, it's a really, really, really good idea to give the parts that you're going to be painting a good bath before you paint them anyway, just as general practice. Just to make sure that you do get any leftover mold release agent or whatever other type of oils might be on it. Because if there's anything, when you go to paint your body, paint your parts, not just the bodies, but the engines and the interiors and the suspensions and all of it, if there's anything on that styrene, it's not gonna take paint very well. So as a matter of habit, whenever I go to paint something, I just automatically give it a nice bath with some warm water and dish soap. Takes care of any mold release agent, body oil from handling it during prep work stage. Alright. And other than getting these two pins off of there, the bed is ready to be painted, as is the cab. And I've decided I'm going to go ahead and take these off now because they're not really serving any purpose anymore. Because normally what I do when I'm not working on it is I'll set it up on the corner of my desk / workbench with the cabin body on the chassis, the wheels and axles in it, and just leave it sitting there just kind of mocked up. And looking like the work in progress that it is. Well, now that I've made some modifications to the front end of the chassis, I'm not going to really be able to do that with it anymore, so might as well get these little pins off of here, since all they were there for was to keep that front axle down in the little ridge that the kit comes with for having it. Alright, and I've got some 120 grit sandpaper here, and I'm going to sand along the insides of the inner fender wells here with this 120 grit so I can clean all that up between the ejector pin marks plus where I cut those pins off. And instead of boring y'all to death watching me do the sanding, I'm going to go ahead and pause the cameras again and come back when I'm done. And it's going to be a few minutes for me. It'll be almost instant for y'all. Alright guys, I'm back. And as you can see, the inner fender wells are now nice and clean and smooth. As you saw, I took my nippers and cut the pins that were for holding that front axle in place off. And then I used my 120 grit sandpaper first to rough it out good and smooth. Then I took some 300 grit, went over that a little bit, and then some 400 grit as a finishing. Because, well, let's face it, the tire side of your front inner fender wells doesn't have to be as smooth for finish as the exterior skin of the body. So go ahead and take these pins off the bed. These pins that I'm removing right here serve the exact same purpose as the ones that I took off the front. And I'm going to sand off all the ejector pin marks and also where I cut those at, and get this all cleaned up. And again, I'm not going to bore you all to death watching me work the sandpaper on the bottom of the bed of the truck, so be back momentarily. Alright everybody, well, I'm out here leaning up against my 94 because roommate just got home from work, and he's kind of tired, and as usual, because he goes in really early and gets home about this time, and he likes to listen to his music when he gets home and relax for a little bit. And of course the music is copyright protected, so you know, and I'm not trying to get any copyright hits on my videos, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. But I do want to show that, as y'all can see right up here, where on the model kit there was that seam line. Yes, my truck has the usual OBS Chevy paint issues, and she needs a paint job. She's gonna get a paint job. But as I was saying, as you can see right through here where that seam line was that y'all watched me remove from the back of the model kit, ain't no such line on the one-to-ones. So that's why I went ahead and removed that. So I'll go back inside here in a little bit and transfer all the various video footage I've recorded on my phone today onto my computer, and start up DaVinci Resolve so I can edit it all together and get the video put together and made. And then I'm gonna get it all uploaded up onto YouTube for you so that y'all can be watching it. And as usual, you know the typical YouTube drill: subscribe if you haven't, like the video, leave a comment, because especially for those of you that are creators yourself, you know just exactly how much that helps the channel. So y'all have a wonderful night, stay safe, keep modeling, and peace out.